Welcome to our webinar. This is a live interactive Teams demo from Wheelhouse IT and in partnership with Microsoft. Before we get started, I do want to toss this over to our CEO, Gani Zabersky. So for him to kind of give a welcome. We know we have a couple of people that are current clients as well as those who are not clients of us. So Gani, I'm going to toss it over to you real quick.
Awesome. Thank you, Rory. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Hope everyone is safe and healthy in these absolutely inconceivable times. Every day just blows my mind even more as we're all going through this together as a human species. So I don't want to take up too much time. We brought in guys from Microsoft and solution architects to kind of help us with this presentation. I know there's some Wheelhouse clients, users of the clients, Wheelhouse clients here today, and really appreciate you guys coming and just the general people that have been following us or joining this event. We really appreciate everyone joining. Don't have much to say other than Wheelhouse obviously runs on Microsoft Teams. We've been running on Teams for a few years. We've been very early adopters of the Microsoft Cloud ever since before it was called Office 365. It was called Business Productivity Office Suite. So we've always been very well adapted to the whole modern Office type of environment. As soon as we started even hearing any possible risks with this, everybody just went home, and we actually saw we didn't see a decline in any kind of productivity. Just through a lot of different technologies, whether it's the Windows virtual desktop or it's Microsoft Teams or it's Sharepoint that lives on Teams, and it really enabled us to kind of not miss a beat and continue working. So a lot of these technologies, like you guys know, have been around for a while, but now we're kind of in a new virtual reality, like we're calling it. So that new virtual reality that we're living in, it's going to kind of change a lot of the mindset. Right now, we need solutions like this to continue working. We don't want anything to halt. We don't want anything to stop in terms of business. And there's some great productivity that we can get out of Microsoft Teams, out of things like Windows Virtual Desktop and just the whole Microsoft suite. Just a little bit about Wheelhouse. We're based out of South Florida, largest managed service provider in South Florida, but we're also have physical offices in New York and Los Angeles. Fort Lauderdale is our headquarters. We have about 4 gold competencies with Microsoft, and we've been doing this stuff for a while. Really love our partnership with Microsoft. They're really leading the charge and where technology is going when it comes to working remotely and being productive and being secure and being compliant and everything else. So really helps us a lot being our longstanding partnership with them. But I'm gonna hand it back to Rory. I don't know what's next on the agenda, but thanks guys for showing up, and stay healthy, stay safe.
Thanks, Gani. And during the process, before I toss it over to David, I just want to make sure that on the right-hand side of your screen, there is a Q&A panel. Feel free to use that. At the end of the event, we're going to pick some people that have joined us and engaged with us throughout the Q&A, and we will then send out some Uber Eats gift cards. So there's that. David, I'm going to toss it over to you and let you kind of get through your demo. You're on mute. There you go.
There we go. All right, let me go ahead and share my desktop, and we'll just get right into this. So a lot of you are now, well, everybody is probably working remotely right now, and many of you are getting used to Teams, maybe very new to Teams. And so I wanted to give kind of a baseline understanding of what Teams is, how it's structured, how to understand where the data lives and stuff like that. And then from there, how do you use it? What's the process for creating a team, for creating a channel, for using tabs, things like that. So what I'm showing right now on my desktop is the basic interface for Teams. And you notice I'm in a web browser. You'll also notice that I am in a Google web browser, so Chrome. and I'm able to do everything I need to do within the Chrome web browser as well as if I was doing the same thing in my client. So working from home, working remotely, working on a corporate machine, working on my home machine, very similar experiences. So if you look at what I've got here on the left-hand side, each of the objects that you see up at the that's got a colorful icon, each of those is what we call a team, right? So digital initiative public relations is a group of people that are working together on a similar type of project. Mark 8 project team is a group of people that are working on this Mark 8 project, whatever it is. So there is a group of people that has been assigned permissions to all the data that lives in that team. Now, the reason I see these specific teams is because the user that I'm logged in as has been made a member of those teams. So if I go in and click on this little ellipsis, I can see who the team is. If I click on Manage Team, it'll show me who the members of this team are. These are the people that have one level of access or another. So some people have owner access, some people have member access. So depending on the settings that you define, members may be allowed to create additional channels, or they may be able to delete messages or whatever it is. But all these people have the ability to see everything under the Mark 8 project team. And I can add members if I want. One thing that I should probably point out is that I can add people from outside my organization if that's been allowed at the organizational level. So for example, I can add my Gmail account. And now my Gmail will get an invitation. It'll say you've been invited to the Mark 8 project team. And then I'll have access to that channel. So you see me down here, right? So that's how you manage the membership of a team. Now, if we go into one of the channels, and the channels are what you might call like subdirectories. If you think of a folder structure, think of Mark 8 project team as the top level folder, and then general design, digital assets, web, and so forth as subfolders. So it's a different category within that broader team. Now, each channel is going to have the ability to chat within the channel, right? So if I go to the general tab or the general channel, I can chat there. If I want to talk about design concepts, I can chat in here. I go to digital assets web. Again, I have the ability to chat in here. So there's a separation of these conversations so that you're keeping context for those conversations. The understanding is that if I'm talking about design, then I want to have that discussion in the design channel so that it's all kept in one kind of silo. Another thing that I can do within a channel, so if I'm in the design channel, is I can create tabs. By default, I have the posts tab, which is up here, and that is where all the chat is stored. I also, for example, have a files tab. Now the files tab is where all the files that are shared within the conversations or any files that I just upload to this channel are located. So for example, I've got this XT1050 usability test 2.3 doc, right? Now, if I go to the files tab, I'm expecting to see a document that corresponds to that in this files tab. So it makes it a little bit easier to find those files because they're all going to be located in this tab. So we'll let this build out for a second. And there's my XT1050 usability test. Okay, so the files that are sent in a post automatically get uploaded into the files location so that they can all be accessed from one single location. Now you notice also, I've got two documents here that have this red X on them. Now this is kind of a side point, but one of the things that's important to note is that if you have Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection, we will identify malware or malicious actor type of behavior inside the documents that are uploaded. So this document has been identified as having malicious malware in it. And so it's not going to let me open that document. It's going to block me from opening it. Okay. I can create other tabs as well, depending on what sort of information I want to display to the people on the design team. Okay. So in this case, I've got Usability Priorities as another tab. Okay. So if I open this up, it's going to show me some information related to whatever Usability Priorities is. Maybe it's a document or a website. Yeah, in this case, it's just a regular Word document. But what I've done here, so the title of the document is Usability Priorities. And if I go back to Files, that document is going to be here too. Usability, where is it? Maybe it's somewhere else. But in any case, testing priorities, there it is. Usability testing priorities. I made this its own separate tab because I want to make sure that it is always highlighted for people. They can always get to it very quickly without searching through, perhaps dozens, hundreds of documents, right? In this case, it's pretty easy because there's only, 10 documents or whatever. But I can make this its own tab. So let's say, for example, I wanted to make marketing initiatives its own tab. I wanted people to always be able to get to that Excel spreadsheet very easily without having to thumb through these documents. Here's how I could do it. I click on the plus, which allows me to add a tab. And there's different applications that I can add as a tab. So I can add another Sharepoint site. I can add a website. I can add a Power BI dashboard, but what I want to do here is add an Excel spreadsheet. So let's do that. Now it's going to ask me, what Excel spreadsheet do I want to add as a tab? So it's looking within the team that I'm currently located in. And marketing initiatives is the one I want to make the tab. So I click save. It's going to build the tab for me. And now what happens is whenever anybody goes to the design channel, they can very quickly get to this marketing priorities, or what was it called again? Not market something or another. Marketing initiatives. So I can rename this if I want. Marketing initiatives. Oops. Arg. Whatever. Didn't spell very well, but anyway. Now people can very quickly get to that tab. As I pointed out, however, you can also add other applications. I can point to a website. So for example, I can point to, just as an easy one for me to find, https://www.microsoft.com. And now people can get very quickly to Microsoft.com from within this channel, or it could be to an internal website, right? So it can be something like, oh, right, because I'm in the web app, it doesn't show up correctly in the web app. I have to use the desktop app. But anyway, I would be able to show that the Microsoft site within that channel. But I can also add other applications. So if I wanted to create a link to something like Hey Taco, right? So Hey Taco is an app that a lot of people like to use. So Hey Taco is available. I can create a tab for that. Markup.law, whatever it might be, whatever tabs I want to do, whatever. And then some of these are paid subscriptions and so forth, but I can add them as tabs so that the people on my team can very quickly get to them without having to fumble through. So again, we have the team at the top level. Each of the underlying, you might say, folders is called a channel. And then within each channel, there are tabs where the data is stored. So that's a high-level view of what a team is structured as. But what I want you to understand too is what is the underlying, or what are the underlying components that make up a team? This makes it important to understand. So if I take a look at the names of the teams here, Mark 8 project team, digital initiative, public relations, and so on. If I go over to my Outlook and go down to groups, so I'm just in my Outlook mailbox, then I go down to groups, you notice I've got the same things here, Mark 8 project team, digital initiative, public relations. So that tells me that there's something in Teams that has an Outlook component, okay? So if I go to Mark 8 project team, which is the one I was in, I see that I have the ability to send email to the group. I have a group calendar, right? So the group calendar isn't necessarily exposed within Teams, but it is something that I can use for the group. Right? So I've got this calendar of things that are taking place. I can use this so that the team, the Mark 8 project team, also has a Mark 8 project calendar. Okay? So that tells me that behind the scenes, there is a mailbox associated with each team, which means that it's using Exchange. A very easy way to look at Teams is that it's a wrapper that directs you into a whole bunch of other Microsoft or Office 365 products. So it's going to give you visibility into an Exchange mailbox. It's going to give you visibility into SharePoint. It's going to give you visibility into OneDrive. It puts a nice wrapper around those products and makes it easy to find them. So because this has a mailbox, because this has a calendar, that means that I can also email the team. So how do I do that? If I click on General, let's say I wanted to email something to this team. What's the email address? If I click on the ellipsis, I can do Get Email Address. And it's going to provide me the email address for this channel, for the general channel. If I copy that and then go back to my mailbox, I can create a message. And remember, I'm logged in as Megan, right? So I'm sending a message to that team as Megan. Hi there, everyone. What's new? This, and I send it. So it goes to the mailbox or to the channel. What we should expect to see here in just a moment, there's the mail. Okay, so it sent the message to the team. Now, the reason that's valuable is, let's say that you're subscribed to some sort of a mailing list that has some good information, but you're the only one subscribed to it. And you want to send it to the rest of your team and make sure that they have a record of it. Maybe it's related to this Mark 8 project that you're all working on together. You can send an email to the channel specific to that team, where they would typically be looking, and then everybody has access to that email, and they're able to reference it after the fact, and it's not clogging up their mailbox. It's creating that message in the context of what people are using. All right. The other piece that's important to note, so we've established that there is a mailbox behind each individual team. The other thing that's important to realize is where the files are stored. So if I click on Files, the files, if we look here, I've got the ability to open up these files individually within Teams, but I can also open it in SharePoint. So let's take a look. When I open it in SharePoint, it's going to show me that the site for the Mark8 project team has a subsite that is called General, right? So General was the name of the tab. There's also a design tab or a design channel. If we go there, we can see that there's a SharePoint site associated with these documents. So if I open that in SharePoint, I see that there's another SharePoint site underneath this called Design, right? So I can go up to the top and see a matching between the channels and the subsites in SharePoint, okay? So all these folders or all these channels also create a site, a subsite in SharePoint. This is important because if we want to apply data loss prevention policies or some sort of governance policies to SharePoint and to Teams, we can do that using the SharePoint policies if that's the preferred way of approaching things. Now, if I want to so this is what happens within a team, right? So the team has a mailbox, it has SharePoint, it has a calendar, it's got a wiki, as you can see here. If you go to the mailbox again, go to the mailbox again, you see that it's got a couple other things. It's got a notebook, a OneNote notebook, it's got a planner. So all those things are linked to the Mark8 project team. So each team has all these things available to them. But what happens if I'm chatting with just another person? Okay, so I am I'm chatting here with Alan DeYoung. Okay, so this is not within the context of a team. This is just one-to-one chat. So I sent Alan this document, this one-year demo environment text document. And what happens is we get another files location shown up here. So this is where the file is located that I shared with Alan. But where is this file physically located? Let's take a look. If I open it online, it'll give us a hint to where it is. Actually, let me do get link. That might be a little clearer. So you can already see where I'm going here with this. So the link to that file is OneDrive. So let's paste this URL in there. And this will take me to OneDrive, where that file is located. Okay, so there's all my passwords for everything. Don't use it. So that took me directly to the OneDrive for myself. Now let me show you what that actually looks like. If I go up here to my OneDrive, trying to click, there we go, and click on OneDrive, I'll see a folder in here that tells me where my chat files are stored. So the files that were stored within a chat show up here, Microsoft Teams chat files. So as soon as you start sharing files within a chat, you get a folder here called Microsoft Teams chat files. If I click on this, there's my one-year demo environment file. Now notice there's other files here too. These were shared with other different people. So the file itself, as you can see here, was shared with Alan. So that's why he has access to it. Other files, however, were stored with different people. So all I'm doing when I create when I upload a document to a chat is I'm creating a link, a shared link to that file to the other person. So they can get to that file, and that's the only file that they're given permission to. So you see here, here's the other files that I stored or shared. Well, you can't see them here, but maybe this is it. There it is. So there's the file that I stored with Isaiah or shared with Isaiah. So you see there's a link here between Teams and OneDrive as well. So we're storing data in Exchange, SharePoint, and OneDrive. All right, let's get into some of the interesting stuff in Teams besides just architecture. If I go into Teams, and Rory, I know I'm at time, but let me know if there's any questions that I can answer. Or
I've been answering the questions along the way. I just wanted to kind of toss it to Gani real quick, because I know that he wanted to have some feedback for a second on how Wheelhouse has adopted Teams. And I'll be very honest, when we launched Teams at Wheelhouse IT about 2.5 years ago, I was probably our biggest person against the change. I hated the product. I thought it was ridiculous. And I'm probably one of the biggest cheerleaders inside the company now for the product. So it's amazing how it's transformed over the last 2.5 years. So with that, I'm going to toss it to Gani for a second to kind of give a perspective on how in the last few years, in the last couple of months, we've seen a massive adoption in how companies are using it internally. So Gani, I'm tossing it to you now.
Thank you, Rory. Thank you, Rory. Yeah, and thank you, Brian. That was great. I just want to make it a little bit more relatable. I know, like I said, I know that there's some Wheelhouse existing, managed services clients on the call. Just so you know, Teams is already included in your managed services agreement. We just have to discuss, the details of getting it set up and everything. All of you that don't have Teams now, just remember in most of the Office 365 products, Microsoft basically bundles in Teams. So it's this great product that probably is just in your product list already, and you just don't know that it is. I want to make mention that, we're a small business as well. We're a 50-person company. There might be some larger companies out there as well that are on this call. But it might seem a little bit overwhelming and abstract, and David's definitely showing a very detailed approach and a lot of stuff. He even showed a couple things I haven't seen before, so thank you, David. Just to make it a little bit more relatable, right? So Microsoft just has this really big ecosystem with Office 365 or Microsoft 365, where your email is in there and your SharePoint is in there and all that other stuff, right? Teams is basically just a way to just think of it as a way of just accessing all of it, like really, really simple. You kind of just create this, whether it's a department, and it doesn't have to be a department. And like you can have a team that's a department, like maybe your accounting department or your marketing department, but you can also have a team that's created across different departments because they may be working on a specific project, right? Like we did that. We had a whole COVID task force. The moment that the COVID thing hit, we created a COVID team. We selected a bunch of volunteers. There's about 8 people that just dealt with all the changes that we've had to make for customers related to COVID. So we quickly created a team for that, and we're up and going. We're able to very quickly organize and effectively help our clients with COVID, is just an example, right? A lot of other things that you guys might say, well, I have files and I have file servers and I have shares and all this other stuff. Keep in mind that SharePoint gives you about 1 terabyte of storage. OneDrive gives you about 1 terabyte of storage per user. So there's so much storage in here, and it's all lives in the cloud. There's also the ability to download local copies of your data, and through other products called Intune and technologies called sandboxing, there's also ways to download them securely, download them encrypted, so you're not always going into the cloud to grab all your stuff. Like I said, I know all this stuff is complicated. Wheelhouse clients especially, like we'll help you guys create all this stuff. You don't have to really mess so much with the permissions and a lot of that stuff, because you're a managed services client. But I know there's people here that they're not a managed services client. They don't have a partner and they just want to use Teams. So yes, absolutely, learn all the permission side of things and the real details of how it all integrates. Another thing that I love that David shows is how all the apps connect, like your marketing department. Like if you're using things like Constant Contact or MailChimp or any of those things, they basically integrate right there. So when you have a team, everything they need, you can onboard a new employee tomorrow. The moment that person hits your company, they know who's on their team, they know where all their files are, they know the applications they need to use. You can integrate with almost anything inside of it. So it's a window in their workplace, and they could literally start in your company like yesterday. So I know, like I said, I know this stuff sounds like, I always try to put myself, you know, in the eyes of our clients, which are a lot of small businesses between, you know, 10 and 150 or 250 people. So I always put my mind in there and you know, try to see it from their eyes, and it might seem overwhelming. It is overwhelming. It definitely is, but everything is inside of there. We've also integrated our phone system into it as well, whether it's a third-party phone system that has like a SIP trunk, any of that stuff, but Microsoft also has something called Microsoft Business Voice. So now when you're chatting and you're calling people internally, and I'm sure Brian is going to show the whole chat and calling feature, and we can always set up another demo for you guys. You can also integrate your phone system into it. So you're calling from Teams with your same caller ID. And you're using Teams as now your phone client, and you have a headset. I don't know if you guys see me on my video, but you have a headset just like me, and that's basically becomes your phone. You guys can screen share to each other. This is my screen. This is what I'm doing. You can give control to each other through Teams. We can be on a call for 30 hours and not show everything that Teams does, right? So I want you guys to just understand that David is just showing like a brief glimpse of some things that Teams does. Microsoft has been around businesses for plus 30 years, right? For a very long time. They know how businesses work. They're, I think, you know, they fluctuate, but the largest company in the world, right? So they know how businesses work. They know how they function. They know how they're supposed to run as efficiently and as effectively as possible. And they've taken a lot of that tribal knowledge on how to work. And a lot of Microsoft employees work from home before COVID. A lot of Wheelhouse employees work from home before COVID, but we don't feel it as much because we have these things like Teams. So we have to remember, once this COVID thing is over, so for some of you, this might be temporary. For some of you, this, you know, working from home might be permanent. For some of you, might be businesses where working from home is just a perk, just like 401k or health insurance, because we're realizing it is possible to work from home. But there's a lot of people right now that are working from home, but they're in a lot of pain because they don't have these applications. So Wheelhouse. Some of you that are subscribed to our e-training library, where you get the on-demand video training for Teams, you guys already have this and have had this for a while. Those of you that didn't, I just want to remind you that our marketing team sent out an email with the free videos. So we basically gave that to you guys for free. So hopefully you got those videos that basically shows all the different things they can do in Teams. If any of you didn't get those, definitely let us know. We want to empower you guys to use these, give you the tools to use them. It's not just Wheelhouse, it's Microsoft behind Wheelhouse. We are, you know, one of the largest Microsoft partners in the state of Florida, probably one of the largest in the country. We have a very, you know, long-standing relationship with Microsoft. So there's a lot of capabilities here. I don't want to make this too much of a Microsoft commercial. I know this sounds, we're not a Microsoft, we're Wheelhouse, we're an IT company. But without Microsoft, we'd never be able to deliver all this functionality to our clients. Some of you guys adopt it, some don't adopt it as much, but I think with COVID, it's time to really embrace it because it is a new virtual reality that we're living in. So I just want to kind of give you guys from the heart what's going on and how we can help and really overcome this together. So sorry if I'm going a little bit over, Rory. I'll swing it back to you. I'll swing it back to David. I'll let you guys get back.
Hey, no worries. I know that there's a couple of questions that are being asked that we have not answered yet. David, one of the questions that's come up multiple times is, can we demonstrate how to actually book a meeting through Teams and then vice versa from Outlook itself? So if we could take care of that, I think that would solve a couple of people that have asked that question.
Sure.
So yeah. David, I'm going to toss it back to you.
Yep. Give me 1 second. Okay. Shrink that. All right. So we start with the meeting question. There's an easy way to set up a meeting. If you go to the calendar area, I can just go here to Now let's go. There it is. New meeting. And there's two types of meetings. One's just a regular meeting, another one's a live event. I won't go into live events, but this is basically like a broadcast event like we're on right now. So I can do a meet now, which is something that is not scheduled in my calendar. I'm just meeting somebody right now, or I can schedule a meeting. So if I do schedule a meeting, then I can go in here and say, Wheelhouse Chat.
While David's doing that, just so you know, you can do this right out of your Outlook as well. You're just in your Outlook, you create an Outlook calendar item, and you just hit Teams meeting, and boom, all the Teams information, the phone number, the link, all that stuff's in Outlook. I don't know if David, you were going to mention that. I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yep.
but
No, you're good.
It's a much easier way, traditional way that you set up a meeting. You invite your attendees, you click Teams. It's like a button right in the Outlook calendar invite, and boom, everything just populates.
Yep. The reason you might want to do it in here is because you can add a meeting to a channel. So for example, if we go to the Mark 8 project team, if I want to have a regular meeting with the whole team, I can say, put this meeting into the channel. So everybody always knows where to go, right? I'll say weekly check-in, okay? So I click send. And now that meeting's in there. It's in my, and just keep in mind that this is synchronizing between my Outlook view and the Teams view. It's all looking at the same calendar, right? So Teams is looking at the Outlook calendar, and Outlook is looking at the Outlook calendar. I don't think I can do it from here. I don't think the web view allows me to create a Teams meeting from Outlook. Let me take a look here.
I actually did this. I did this morning, David. So I think it.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I think it might depend on the setting that your admin has provided. But I was able to make one this morning.
Yeah, and while David's showing that, another thing that's really relevant, like sometimes we can't join a meeting, and let's say you have an internal meeting. You can invite external people to the meeting, of course, but let's say you just have an internal meeting and you want to, and not everyone can join that meeting. You can very easily just hit record, and it'll record that meeting for you, and it'll store it into your Teams channel. So now anyone that might have missed the meeting because they had a conflicting appointment, they do that. That's something that we just started doing. You know, with a peer group that I belong to, right? So I'm like in a CEO peer group, and I can just record that meeting because, you know, a lot of us are busy. We can't make every single meeting. So just because I missed the meeting doesn't mean I can't see the meeting later and watch it at night or something. The other part is on the meetings, which is great now, it's a new technology that Microsoft has, is captions. And you just click a button, captions, and all the text in the meeting just appears on your screen. So if you're recording it, you guys get those captions as well, which is great because you can literally watch a meeting and just read the captions, right? I know that sounds like a lot of multitasking. My, you know, heads might be spinning, but I do that sometimes. I'll have a meeting, I'll put the meeting on mute, and I'll put the captions on it, and I'll watch the dialogue in the meeting in real time. It's pretty incredible.
Yep. So I can't. It doesn't look like it's letting me create it in this demo tenant, but what I can show you very quickly is my own personal email. So the way you'd create it within an email or within Outlook is you go to New Items, and you get this little button down here that says Teams Meeting, and it creates, just popped over on my other screen, a meeting like that. Get rid of that. And now it gives me the links, the phone numbers that I would use, any conference IDs that I need to use, and I can go in and check my scheduling assistance just like I would with a normal Outlook meeting invite for checking people's availability and so forth. I can add conference rooms, add attendees, so on. And then when I send this, it's actually going to be available both in Outlook and in Teams. So you remember I created the invite for Wheelhouse Chat. There it is, right? So it's in my Outlook mailbox, and then Teams is showing the same thing. Okay, so that's how you can create a meeting. If I go back to chat, there's a couple different things I can do in chat. So for example, I've got two screens open here just so I can simulate two different people. You can't see the other one, but if I go in as Megan and I chat with Alex, so Alex is showing as online, I can have a chat with him. I can say, "Hi, Alex, good work." Okay, then I go over here and say, "Thanks, I try." All right, so I've got two different clients going at the same time. I can also, let's say I had a question for Alex that I needed to get addressed. I could go right here and make a phone call to him without having to search for him or whatever. I can't do it obviously while I'm talking on this Teams meeting, but I can also do a video call. So I can escalate this from just a chat immediately to a video call, and we're chatting just very easily. I can also add people to this chat. I can say I want to invite Christy because she's very important. And notice what I have the ability to do. So if I bring her into this chat, I can say, don't let her see the rest of the chat history, right? Maybe we were talking about her job performance or whatever. I mean, we want to have a discussion with her, so we don't want her to see the chat history. But I can also include all the chat history if I want. So I'll say don't include. Now, what I've done is I've created a separate chat for her, and I can change the name of this chat, as an example, to, you know, the fun bunch. I don't know what. Right. So now, anytime I want to chat with both of them, it's available there, and this also shows up on Alex's side, right? So Alex sees Fun Bunch as well. So a lot of things you can do within chat. Calls. So again, I can't simulate a call while I'm actually on a call right now. But if you are using Teams Voice, you have the ability to just dial by a picture, essentially, right? You don't have to know the person's phone number. Just click on here, click on call, initiate a video call. You can get information. You can go to chat. You can add them to speed dial. You can create groups of users. In this case, I don't have Teams Voice on this tenant, but basically what you would see is something like this. If I go to my Teams client, you'll see something along this line if you want to make phone calls. So just have a keypad, you make a phone call, and you'll be able to see everything and escalate to a video call and so on. And you get your voicemail, you get your call history, you can have your shared contacts. One thing that I should point out, even if you don't buy the Teams Voice or phone system package, everybody that is on the same tenant in Teams can make calls to each other. So even if you, in other words, you can't call out to Pizza Hut or to Uber Eats or whatever without the phone system, but you can call each other, because what we're doing is we're actually making the call within Microsoft's data centers, right? So we don't really, you don't have to go out onto the like the AT&T phone network. You're staying within our data centers, and so those calls aren't something that you need to figure differently.
And David, something I wanted to mention, David, is so remember, Teams is usually bundled into most Office 365 accounts, the vast majority of them. So there's already over 200 million Office 365 mailboxes out there. So the market penetration of the product is massive. I know you guys hear about applications like Zoom and stuff like that. Zoom are mostly like home users use it because it's like a free thing that 3 or 4 people connect to a meeting. This is obviously more than Zoom. It's your files, your Microsoft Office. It's like the window into your whole work world. But you can actually connect your Teams with any other business that has Teams, and they've just grown by 800% in like the first week of COVID, because businesses need to function. So all of a sudden, they started using the Teams that they didn't even know they had. So So yes, you can call people. If you attach the Microsoft Business Voice, which is another great product that Microsoft has, you can call anyone in the telephone network, not just, but if somebody else has Teams, you do what's called a federation between those two teams. And now, or you can create a group of people with other people, like most of the people that we do business today have Teams, and we can just create groups across these different businesses. So it's not just the ecosystem inside of your own business, it's now this B2B ecosystem, right? With all your vendors or maybe your clients and partners or whoever you guys are doing business with, and kind of brings them all together. And it's very effective. But sorry, I'll go back to. I just wanted to mention that one part, David, because I thought that was very useful to some of the people on the call.
Sure, no problem. So I was just looking at some of the questions, and I'll try to hit some of those. So one of the questions was, if you upload direct to SharePoint within a team channel, how do you access this information through the Teams interface? Something like a folder with several pictures. Okay, so let's take a look at that. If I go in here into Teams and we go to the design channel, and if I open this in SharePoint, so I don't necessarily have a folder with several pictures that I can access, but if I just upload and we'll say files, oh, what the heck, let's go ahead and do folder. And if we go to documents, this is off my personal machine that I'm doing this. So if I go to personal and photos, upload. So it's going to upload 4 files to the SharePoint site, and then we'll see what it looks like when we go back to the Teams interface. Another one of the questions is about the malware. So how did we see that the photos folder has been uploaded? Let's go back real quick to the Documents Design folder or channel in Teams, and when I refresh, oops, not sync. Back here and split back real quick. The question was about the malware notification that showed up in Teams. I should have that photos. There's the folder. So it just shows up like that. And then everybody gets to look at pictures of me if that's what you really want to look at. So it'll show up here in a second. Okay, so that's easy enough. As far as the malware situation, so here's what you do. Assuming the correct licensing, right? You go to the Microsoft 365 Security Center, you go to Policies, you go to ATP Safe Attachments, okay? When you click on Safe Attachments, it brings up this interface. And there is, if you can read it, let me make it a little bit bigger, a little checkbox that says turn on ATP for SharePoint, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams. You can also do this for Office clients, right? So ATP is not just for email, it's for SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, as well as your Office client. So if I click on a link in Word or in PowerPoint or Excel, it's going to check to see, or if I click on an attachment in any of those things, it's going to verify that the document is safe. So once I turn this on, then we're going to be checking to see that the documents that are uploaded are actually safe. And the way that happens is behind the scenes, we open that document in what we call a detonation chamber. So we open the document in this VM in Azure. We take a look at what the behavior is. Does it unpack some malware? Does it try to establish command and control to someone, whatever? And if we determine that it's doing something malicious, then we will go in and mark it like that. So that's what's actually going on there. What other questions here? Any tutorials? I'm sure Wheelhouse can help with that. Can you open 2 or more Teams windows at a time? Okay, so the answer to that is very soon. So right now, in my personal tenant, I can pop out a chat if I want to. So for example, if I go here, I can pop out a chat, right, like that. So that is coming, but it hasn't been rolled out to the rest of the world just yet. They're just doing some validation testing, so that is coming.
Right, David, I just want to mention one way that we get around that is you can have Teams open, like your Teams client open, and then if you want your chats, you can just put your chats in a browser. So, I mean, us at Wheelhouse, you know, everyone's got 3 or 4 screens on their desk, and I know not everyone is set up that way. But if you do have multiple screens, not even if you don't have multiple screens, and you want to just keep your chats in one window because you want to quickly, you know, toggle and chat with people very quickly, you can do that, and then you can keep your Teams client on another screen or in the background, and you can work on your documents and your regular, you know, workflow type stuff that you're doing. That's the way that we get around it. It's not, but like David said, Microsoft should be coming out with that at any time. It's a big request. There's been a lot of pressure on Microsoft to put that out, and I think it should come out any day now, right, David?
Yeah, I know that there's several really high demand things. Another one is the more than 4 windows in a meeting. So going 3 to 3, 3 by 3, so you see 9 faces on a screen. That's kind of a, you know, trying to catch up to what Zoom's doing. There were a couple other things I just really quickly wanted to show you, just some fun stuff. So if you go to one of the chats or one of the channels, and let's say I wanted to start a chat. And what I want to show you here is some things that you can do within Teams that are pretty unique. So let's say you've got people on your team that speak a different language. I speak Danish, so I'm going to go ahead and type something in here in Danish and then send it to the rest of the team. Right? Oops, I misspelled it. I said I speak Danish, I don't spell it. Let's see. And just also one of the things you notice there is you can edit your chats. Okay, so I said, vad ska vi göra idag? Now, I sent this to the team. Nobody knows what I'm talking about, but what they can do is go in here and say, translate, and it translates into English. So it translates into the language of the OS that you're on. So, and I didn't tell it that I was speaking Danish. It just detected that that's what the language was. I was in South Africa several weeks ago, and they were typing to me in, it was at Afrikaans, I think. I hope that they didn't type something inappropriate here. Let me make sure. Let's see, translate. What will happen today? There we go. So again, you know, I didn't tell it that this was Afrikaans. It just was able to pick that up. So that's something that's kind of cool. You notice down here, you have the ability to add other things into your chat. So let's say I say, I wonder what the weather will be. So I can do that. And then I can go here and there's a little weather button. And I can say, I want to find out the weather in my zip code. There we go. And send that out. So that's the weather in my area right now. I can also get stock tickers. All right, so let's find out what Microsoft is doing right now. All right, it's up. That's good. Send that out. I can get Wikipedia articles. I can send links to YouTube. There's a variety of different things that you can do in here. Send news, forms, whatever you want to do. And there's a whole bunch of other apps that you can integrate into those types of chats. So there's a lot of things, and I mean, we'd run out of time. Like was mentioned earlier, you could talk for 30 hours about this stuff. But are there any specific questions I can answer that you guys are looking for? I don't see any new questions.
If there's anything that was not answered, we'll go through, and as long as the user was attached to an email address or entered their name as they entered the meeting, we'll be able to follow up with an email. I believe we did a good job at touching base with everybody who entered a question. If you also have questions that were not answered, feel free to reach out to us. We'll after this, we send an email out with additional information about the product, so on and so forth. So you can respond back to that, and we'll be able to try to help you out as much as possible. For any of our clients, feel free to reach out to your account manager, and we're more than happy to start a conversation on how to better leverage Teams for your organization. Gani, were you going to say something? I apologize. Or was that David?
I'm not going to say anything. I was just going to say goodbye. I've got a 2 o'clock that I got to jump into a conference on, so I just wanted to say goodbye and thank you. You know, guests, Wheelhouse clients, anyone that's jumped on to the event. Thanks, and stay safe, stay healthy.
Awesome, thanks, Gani. And then we're gonna pick some random folks here to receive. We're gonna draw some 2 people to get a gift card to Uber Eats. So actually, instead of doing that, I'm gonna ask a question. Does anybody know? And feel free to shoot back into the Q&A. How many people a standard Teams meeting can hold? The first person that can answer we'll throw out a gift card to Uber Eats, as everyone feverishly Googles. Nobody's answered. All right. I lied. Here we go. All right.
Standard Teams meeting?
Yeah, standard Teams meeting, a video meeting. I apologize. A standard team can hold 5,000 people. That is correct. For the folks that entered 5,000, that is a standard team itself, but a Teams meeting, like a live video call. 250. Paul, you would get it. Paul, I'll reach back out to you in a second and get your email address, and then we'll hook you up with an Uber Eats gift card. David, if you want to throw a question out there, and then we'll wrap it up with that.
So Rick, I see you said 10K or changed to Anastasia. Anyway, so somebody said 10K. So 10K is the number for a live event, and that is actually it's been modified for COVID-19. So does anybody know what the modified number is? We've increased that beyond 10K because of COVID-19. Does anybody know what that new number is?
I don't even know that number.
Yeah, 100K for whoever anonymous was. So with you know, if you plan in advance, we can increase it up to 100,000 people in your meeting. Yep.
100,000. I know that Microsoft actually will also reach out and help you plan your live event depending on the amount of people that you're planning on having. With that, I do want to thank everybody for joining us. I see that some people are dropping off. David, we want to thank you in your time and your dedication to the product and the folks there that are using the Microsoft solutions. Again, here at Wheelhouse IT, we're happy to help, whether you're a current client or looking to change up who is supporting you and how you guys are getting your modern office solutions. You can reach out to us at sales@wheelhouseit.com. For those of you who are looking to figure out how to watch this after the fact, I'm going to make an announcement real quick into the Q&A that will give you all of the links that you need. But we post all of our resources online after the fact. So again, we thank you for joining us, and we hope that you have a great day. Thanks, guys.